Chapter 4. Self-evident. Why atheism is unnatural. Imagine one evening you receive a call from David, one of your old school friends you used to sit next to during science lessons. You haven't spoken to him for years, but you remember the weird questions he used to ask you. Although you found him pleasant, you were not a fan of his ideas. Reluctantly you answer the phone. After a brief exchange of greetings, he invites you to have lunch with him. You half-heartedly accept his invitation. During lunch he asks, "Can I tell you something?" You reply positively, and he begins to express to you something that you haven't heard before. You know, the past, like what you did yesterday, last year, and all the way back to your birth, didn't really happen. It's just an illusion in your head. So my question to you is, do you believe the past exists? As a rational person you do not agree with his assertion and you reply, "What evidence do you have to prove that the past does not exist?" Now rewind the conversation, and imagine you spent the whole meal trying to prove that the past is something that really happened. Which scenario do you prefer? The reason you prefer the first scenario is because you, like the rest of the reasonable people out there, regard the reality of the past as a self-evident truth. As with all self-evident truths, if someone challenges them, the burden of proof is on the one who has questioned them. Now let's apply this to a theist-atheist dialogue. A theist invites his atheist friend for dinner, and during the meal the atheist asserts, "You know, God does not exist. There's no evidence for his existence." The theist replies with a barrage of different arguments for God's existence. However, has the theist adopted the right strategy? Before we present a positive case for God's existence, shouldn't we be probing why questioning God's existence is the assumed default question? It shouldn't be, "Does God exist?" Rather, it should be, "What reasons do we have to reject his existence?" Now, do not get me wrong. I believe we have many good arguments that support a belief in God, and these are discussed in this book. The point I am raising here is that if there are no arguments against God's existence, then the rational default position is the belief in the divine. Otherwise, it would be tantamount to questioning the reality of the past without any good reason to do so. From this perspective, atheism is unnatural. Self-evident truths.